All right, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us. We have Steve and Bonnie Vincent from Rediscover Yourself, as well as Eliza Mandel, a practitioner that was trained by Bonnie and Steve Vincent, who has her own independent practice out in Boston. So I'm excited to gather everyone and talk about some frequently asked questions regarding sound therapy. So just to kick it off, I'm going to ask Eliza, what is the difference between sound healing versus sound therapy?
Absolutely. Well, I wrote down some really important key points that I don't want to forget so that I can take the time to really fully explain that. So when you think of sound healing, you might picture singing bowls, gongs, tuning forks, or shamanic traditions like drumming. These techniques are some of the oldest known forms of healing. Energy sound therapy is a new kind of healing, which is based on these similar ancient principles, but with a modernized twist. Sound therapy offers a powerful combination of energy work and frequency sound therapy. So what we do is through muscle testing, your body lets us know what emotions need to be released, where they need to be released from, and what frequency will target the emotion. Speakers are then placed directly on the body, which relay the frequency, which essentially shatters the emotion and dissolves it from your body. Also, unlike traditional methods, you're not experiencing any kind of sensory overload during an energy sound therapy session because the sound of the frequency is pretty mellow, so you can meditate, relax, or even just nap during a session.
Sounds good. Thank you for sharing. So I know a lot of people have tried talk therapy and spend a lot of time doing that. So I was just curious, how much needs to be shared in an energy sound therapy session? I don't know if Steve, if you could elaborate on that.
Sure. As far as the energy sound therapy sessions, you don't have to share a lot of the information with us. Unlike talk therapy, we don't have to sit down and have you hash everything out and revisit the entire scene or the entire experience, whatever it is that you had happened to be struggling through. That's all we need to have is a general idea. So is this something that you're working with that has caused you to be anxious or fearful, or maybe you're feeling depressed about a certain situation? That's all we need is a generalized idea to go towards. And we have what are called frequency cards that relate to these different emotions that people are feeling. So we can pull out cards that are related to it. We can then connect with the person's subconscious energy. And by placing these cards on their midsection, we can fire our own energy and get yeses and nos, whether these are stored emotions or not. And once we find the stored emotions, we find out what's going to be priority to release. And it's a very simple process where a person doesn't have to share a lot of information with us. So especially men, and I'll speak on that behalf, because I am one, they don't like to share a lot of their emotions. We keep a lot of stuff bottled up, and it's like, people don't have to know my stuff. And they just have that feeling that what happens to me is mine and I don't need to share it with you. And due to sound therapy, they absolutely don't have to share it with us. So we can work with their thought combined with the emotion that is causing the problem and eliminate that right there, usually within 1 to 3 sessions, usually tops, which saves you a lot of time and money in the long run. So when you're doing talk therapy, we've worked on people who've been in talk therapy for years and years, and they come in for a sound session and they're like, what is this? I've been working on this certain situation for a long, long time. Like I said, sometimes many years. They have a sound session and it releases that trapped emotion that they've had the whole time. So it's a real different way, a very effective way of getting in there and getting rid of all that negativity that's been bothering them, which saves them a lot of time and money. Even if insurance is covering it, look at the amount of time you're spending, an hour every time you go in for a sound session. And ours is up to 2 hours, but you only have to come once, twice, maybe 3 times, and everything is gone. So you get to start over, reset yourself, and start over from square one. So it is a huge time and cost savings if you look at it from that aspect.
Yeah, and I like how you said that they can come in and it only takes a couple hours and they can get further along in their therapy journey than maybe they would in talk therapy. So that kind of brings me to my next question. How long exactly is a session when doing sound therapy?
Yeah, usually what we do is we like to tell people or advise them to put aside 2 hours, at least 2 hours, because we really want you to be able to release that fully. Take some time for yourself and really make sure that um, you're not just coming in here to hurry up and get rid of whatever it is that you're going to get rid of and go back to your day. It's important that you set aside that 2 hours. It's different than a regular talk therapy session where you go in for your hour, and when your hour is done, you can leave. The process that we do is you come in, we have you fill out a little bit of paperwork. We sit down. You can share as much or as little information as you want. So if you don't feel like you can share anything, that is fine. We don't need to know everything. We just need to know a little direction on what to go. Is it anxiety that you're dealing with, or do you get frustrated easily? Or, can you just not stop crying because you lost a loved one? Whatever the issue may be, just to give us a direction to go in. After that, we will ask you to take off all your electronics. So we're working with just your energy. You'll lay on a massage table. You'll be nice and comfortable. And we're just going to work with your one arm to be able to do some kinesiology, some muscle testing, to allow us to connect with your energy and find out what your body has stored, whether, it be anxiety or anger or frustration or worry or grief or loss or whatever it is. Once we figure out what your body has stored, then we're going to do some more testing to find out where in your body this particular emotion is stored. We're going to place a speaker directly on the spot that your body tells us to place the speaker so that we can target that specific emotion. We'll find out what sound frequency is needed, and we'll also find out how long the session is going to be. Your body knows how long everything needs to take in order for that emotion to be released. So we just have to just relax and trust and know that what we're doing is going to completely release that emotion that we're working on. And it's so simple how it's done. You may feel some light tingling, you may feel some muscle twitching. That's completely normal, and you just have to allow it to happen, allow the emotions to release, and you're gonna feel fabulous when you're done.
We all like to hear that.
Right.
So I want to dive deeper into the why of sound therapy. So Eliza, could you explain maybe how your thoughts affect you and get a little deeper into the conscious and the unconscious mind?
Yes, and that is a really, really good question. I've spent a lot of personal time researching this just because I'm so passionate about it. And I really like the research that Dr. Joe Dispenza is doing. And Dr. Bruce Lipton is another leader in the industry who's really diving deep into research right now. But basically, our thoughts are incredibly powerful, and sometimes we don't realize that. So our thoughts actually create our own reality. And Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton really explain how that comes to light. So in 2005, the National Science Foundation estimated that the average person has about 60,000 thoughts just in one day. And of those thoughts, 80% were negative, and 95% of them were exactly the same thoughts as the day before. So on the average day, the same thoughts lead to the same choices, and the same choices lead to the same behaviors, and the same behaviors create the same experiences, and the same experiences create the same emotions, which reproduces emotions that drive the very same thoughts. So it's this cycle. And what you're doing is you're actually hardwiring your brain to represent a record of the past. Basically, just like a computer full of unconscious programming and memorized behaviors. So over time, your body knows how to think for itself. And if we're not aware of this, we're basically using our conscious mind for most of the day. You know, when we wake up and our alarm goes off at the same time during the day, and we turn off our alarm at the same finger, and we go to the bathroom like we always do, and we drink coffee like we always do, and we end up, our body is kind of leading our day as opposed to our mind. So the real magic happens when we're able to think about what we're thinking about, which is called metacognition. So by becoming aware of our unconscious thoughts and automatic behaviors, and by observing our own thoughts and emotions, we can decide for ourselves if we want these thoughts, choices, and experiences in our future. So even if what's going on around you in your environment is negative, even if you're in a toxic relationship, a toxic work environment, you're not happy for whatever reason in your life, you have the power to choose positive thoughts. So new thoughts lead to new choices, and new choices should lead to new behaviors. And new behaviors should create new experiences, and new experiences should create new emotions, and new emotions should drive new thoughts. So that's the reverse of the pattern. And when we follow this pattern, we have a strong will, and we have a strong will to become aware of our own negative thought patterns, then we can create a new life just by thinking new thoughts. So regardless of circumstances, you can begin to live internally as if your future is already happening. And then ultimately your future becomes your reality. Your thoughts catch up to you and you create the life you want to live. So as a result of life experiences too, we also hold on to emotions that are subconsciously stored as energy in our bodies. These emotions might be connected with traumatic events that brought up intense emotions at the time. For example, losing a loved one or experiencing a bad breakup. So over time, if we don't find a way to work through these emotions like shame, anger, guilt, fear, we can begin to lower our vibrational frequency. So this decreases our quality of life, and our emotions even create the potential to manifest as disease or illness. And using energy sound therapy, we can locate exactly where the negative emotions are stored, as Bonnie mentioned, and we use specifically designed frequencies to release these emotions on an emotional, spiritual, and physical level.
That's awesome. Thank you for that great explanation.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads to my next question. Now, a lot of people are interested in doing this type of therapy, but maybe they're not located in an area where there's an independent practitioner, or maybe they're not feeling so well and they want to stay home. Are there virtual remote options? And what is the difference between a remote session versus an in-person session? So I don't know, Bonnie, if you'd be able to explain that.
Sure. I love to be able to help people either way. So the really neat thing, well, normally we used to just see everybody in person. We didn't do as many remote sessions as we do now because of the whole COVID thing happening. Kind of opened some new doors for us, and we had to become really creative in what we are doing, because energy is everywhere and we're all connected and we all know that. So when somebody comes in for a regular session, it's just the traditional. They come in, we have a little discussion with them, and we do the session. Now the remote session, a lot of people are like, how is it possible that you can treat me halfway across the world? Because we're all connected, and we also use the higher power, God, to be able to help us and guide us through each session. So it's so beautifully done, and people can feel it. They may not hear the sound, but they will feel it. And I usually will ask them after the session, because I know where the speaker was placed on them. I will ask them, but they don't know. And I'll ask them, where did you feel it? And they'll say, well, I had tingling in my face. And it just happened to be that the speakers were placed right on their face or maybe on their ears. And it just shows you that they can feel that, and it doesn't matter where you are. And the results speak for itself. We have had many testimonials, whether they're in person or remotely, and their experiences have all been fantastic, and they're just very open to receiving the healing, no matter if they come in person or do it remotely. And that's what's really beautiful, is because we're able to help them no matter what. They don't need to be right here physically. And once they can figure that out and they feel it, they go, oh, I don't have to be there. And that's when the beauty takes place, because There's nothing more fulfilling than helping somebody heal or feel better because they're emotionally, distraught with whatever it is going on in their life. And if we can lift their frequency and get them feeling a little bit better, it's amazing.
I agree. That is quite awesome. So Steve, I was wondering if you would be able to answer, how is this practice safe and how is it relaxing?
Well, how safe is it? We have worked on, combined with all of our practitioners, we have worked on thousands, literally thousands of people from all over the world and have never had a negative experience where somebody has some ill side effect that in any way, shape, or form, defines their life or causes an illness or causes a sickness. This is extremely safe. This is something that you're exposed to every single day, sound. All of us, from the time we wake up in the morning, time you step outside your door, we are bombarded by different sounds. And what we are doing, what we've done is we have utilized specific frequencies from sounds, and that is what we're using to shatter all the negativity that one may have trapped within their body. So different emotions with different people will require different frequencies, but it's a very, very safe process. And like I said, nobody has ever been hurt, which is really cool. That is one thing that I guess that really sets us apart from anything else, is that it's safe for an infant to use as well as a grandparent and anybody that's in between. Nobody has had a negative side effect, especially a life-threatening illness caused by a sound that they heard. So it's very, very safe.
So if you've ever taken a yoga or meditation class, chances are that you've heard your instructor talk about the chakra system, but they might have not fully explained their origins and just brushed through it. And you're like, what are they talking about? So the chakra system is really incredible, and it originated from the oldest known Sanskrit literature of Hinduism called the Vedas. And there are 7 chakras. They're also referred to as wheels in Sanskrit. They refer to the spiritual energy centers that go up along the spine and up through the crown of the body. So you can think of them kind of like pinwheels, except instead of wind to operate, they operate on prana, which is life force energy. So each chakra has its own unique characteristics and associated physical, emotional, and spiritual states that are connected with each chakra. So knowing when your chakras are open, also referred to as unblocked or properly spinning, is a powerful tool to help you maintain harmony within the body. So during an energy sound therapy session, we might check to see if any of your chakras are blocked, and then we open them up to make sure your energy is properly flowing. Sometimes we use crystals to reverse your chakras, which releases any negative energy and then sends them back into alignment. So what's really interesting is how chakras tend to connect specifically with the emotions that are being released during a session. And this is just an example, but if a client's having issues with communication with a loved one, for example, and they can't express how they feel fully, or they're really apprehensive about it and they just can't seem to get their words right. And the muscle testing might determine that the speakers will need to be placed on their throat chakra, which happens to be the center of verbal expression. And with an unblocked throat chakra, you are more freely speaking from the heart and saying how you feel. So that kind of coincidence plays, and it ties really closely with the chakras. The chakras tend to make themselves known, so to speak, during a session when it intertwines like that. So it's really cool to see, and it's really fun to research more about chakras. So I would definitely suggest it for anybody interested in learning more.
Sounds good. Thank you for that wonderful explanation. So since we have been talking so much about frequencies, I was wondering if you could give me more of an explanation about frequencies and just the overall definition of the energy of love and why that's so important.
Absolutely. So basically everything in this universe is in a state of vibration, whether we see it or not. So even the walls, the chair you're sitting in, your phone, everything is actually vibrating at a certain rate. And every object on earth, every living being, everything on earth has its own natural, or often referred to as resonant frequency, whether we hear it or not. So since matter and energy are intrinsically connected, which was a theory, of course, proven by Einstein's E=mc², it's important to know that the higher the frequency, the less dense or the lighter the matter is. And the lower the frequency, the more dense the matter is. And this applies to emotions as well, because emotions are also things. They are a form of energy. So as humans, we vibrate at a frequency that's relative to our state of being. So to better explain this, more elevated emotions like joy, love, gratitude, and enlightenment, those kinds of emotions elicit high frequencies, and more negative emotions like guilt, anger, fear, and shame elicit lower frequencies. So basically, by tuning into a higher frequency of vibration, your body becomes lighter and more resonant with a healthier and natural state of being. The frequency of love, which is often referred to as the miracle frequency, vibrates at a particular hertz. It's 528 hertz. This specific frequency is said to have the power to heal and repair DNA. So it's really cool. And a lot of people say that it's at the heart of everything in life, which I love. It can be found in nature. It's basically, if you were to go out in the woods and sit still, you would be, whether you can actually hear it, but like the average frequency is the frequency of love that you're hearing from the world. So I named my business as a practitioner frequency of love in honor of this powerful frequency. And by tuning into it, we can raise our consciousness and attract more positive emotions and experience into our life.
That's great. Thank you. So now I kind of want to transition to more questions surrounding becoming a practitioner. Eliza is an independent practitioner that was trained by Bonnie and Steve through Rediscover Yourself. So Steve, I was just curious, what does it mean to become a practitioner?
Well, becoming a practitioner for myself personally has been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my lifetime. And I think a lot of the practitioners, including my wife, will vouch for this, that when you're able to help somebody out, you've always, most of us have this desire to help other people in some way, shape, or form. I have never found something that can make such a profound positive difference in somebody's life as this sound frequency healing that we've been working with. This is absolutely amazing what this is able to do. So if you want to really have something that is really heartfelt and give you a real sense of worth in life, I've never experienced anything that's been more life-changing or more positive than becoming a practitioner doing this. When people say, how long are you going to do this? When are you going to retire? I have absolutely no intentions of ever retiring. I hope to be doing this up to the day I pass away. And for the amount of physical strain that it takes to do this, I will be able to do this well into my 80s, 90s, hopefully 100 years old, I'll still be doing this. One of our mentors that we studied with, Bob Proctor, he's 86 years old, and he's one of the best personal development coaches out there on the planet. He's been doing this longer than anybody who's walking the face of the earth as far as helping people out. And when we had a conversation with him, he told us that, I'm going to do this till the day I die, and I hope I live a heck of a long time. Well, I'm in the same boat, and I think our practitioners are in this for the same reason. We screen every practitioner, and we have a little consultation with them. Why do you want to get into this? Why do you want to do this? It's life-changing. And every one of them comes in for a different reason, but under a general umbrella, we're all doing the same thing. This is to help other people. We all went through our own struggles, our own personal stuff in life, and we have overcome those challenges, and now we want to share this with other people. So this is an incredible tool that there's nothing else like this out there that can actually do this and make you feel the way that you do after becoming a practitioner. Things that you're able to help people out with are simply amazing.
That's incredible. And it's wonderful that, you're able to give other people this opportunity as well to, make a career change or impact more people within, their coaching practices or anything energy work like that. So I guess that leads into my next question. What does a day in the life of a practitioner look like?
Well, I can answer that. Every day is different. You just never know what it's going to be like. And I think for me, that's what's so beautiful, because you just don't know. You're not doing the same thing over and over and over again. So if you are looking for something that you're helping people, you're thinking about solutions to be able to help them, you're guiding them, you're coaching them, you're doing so many things for other people, this is the place that you want to be. And every day is so different. I never know who I'm going to meet and what struggles are going through and what I may be doing for that individual. And I still think of this, one of our practitioners had actually started becoming a practitioner because of when she had brought her nephew into me. And that was such an amazing story. And I believe on our YouTube, she talks about that if anybody wants to visit that. But the reason she became a practitioner is she was listening to me at a networking event of how I have helped different people with different things. And then she had gotten a message from her sister saying that her nephew tried to commit suicide. And she goes, Bonnie, I don't know exactly what you do, but can you help me? And I said, it's the weirdest thing, but I have 2 hours open this afternoon that I was like, you know what? Those 2 hours are going to be filled with someone. And then it happened to be this person. And when he came in and had that session done, he walked out of there completely different. And she goes, I don't know what you just did, but I want to do what you do. And that's kind of why she became a practitioner. And I'll remember that story for a very long time. And it's so great because you just don't know who you're going to help. And that's what is amazing with this, is that you are helping people and you are changing lives and you are making a difference. So if you want to make a difference in your community, definitely reach out to us.
That's incredible. And you never know who you're going to impact on a day-to-day basis. So that seems pretty amazing. So I guess, how does somebody become a practitioner? What does that look like? What does it take?
Well, anybody who's got an interest in being a practitioner usually starts out with a request to Bonnie or I, or they will talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm interested in this. If it's one of our fellow practitioners, they'll usually refer them over, talk to Steve and Bonnie, and we'll have a brief questioning with them to see where they're at in life, what they really want to do in life, and make sure they're going to be a good fit for this. Because there's people that are out there and they're really looking to make the almighty dollar. Their whole thing is how much money can I make? How much money can I make? Our big thing is how many people can I help? Whose life can I change today? How can I make a difference in this world that we live in? And we want the people that are getting into this for the right reasons, which is to help other people. That you talk to any one of our practitioners, we're all in the same boat. We all back each other up. We all help each other out. Anytime there's a struggle, a question, anybody has anything of any concern whatsoever, we work as a team with one another. We're all working to help one another because there's not enough of us out there, not nearly enough of us out there for the number of people that could really utilize our services and really need our help. So that's all they got to do is contact us and we can get the ball rolling there. That's all we need is their contact information. We can send them information. We can send them videos. We can talk with them. There's a number of different ways that we can do this, kind of open up the doors and get things rolling on their end to see if they definitely want to do this. And if they do, and they want to get into it for the right reasons, we are all about, let's make this work. We're going to find a way to make this work.
Sounds great. What is the training/certification like?
Bonnie, do you want to take that?
Sure. When you set up, now there's a couple different ways. You know, ever since COVID hit, we've been really creative. We used to do it 2 weeks, and then we switched it to 9 days, and then we switched it to working with other people's schedules. So we've learned to become very flexible, because in these times right now we have to be. And so we're willing to work with you and adjust to your schedule to get you your training and get it completed, and get you doing the practice as quickly as possible. So if you are interested, ask us any questions. Say, you know, is it possible to have you come to my area and get trained? Steve and I have traveled, so it's not that we're not open to it. We just have to figure out how we're going to make things work. That's all. And so if either way, we can do it here in Green Bay, which is normally where we do our training, or we can come to your location, as long as we have the room to do it and to be able to provide the services for other people in your community. So we are open to both ways. I'll just talk about the 9 straight days of training. And that's one of the courses that Eliza went through when she was here. And, you know, the first couple days is just learning how to do the muscle testing, how to, do the steps and the service itself. And then after that, we actually will have you work on people directly, because you have to connect with so many different kinds of energies in human beings, because not everybody is the same. We're all different, we're all unique, and you have to be able to adapt to any type of energy that comes into the office. So with that being said, we do like to have you work on 25 to 30 people if possible throughout your training, so that you're very comfortable when you're done with your training. You know it, and you can start your practice. And we give you all the tools, all the different things that you're going to need to get your practice up and going. Whatever you're going to experience, just ask. We'll have an answer. If we don't have an answer, we'll figure it out for you. So we're very very helpful when it comes to that type of stuff, because we are all different. So we'll make it work for you.
Sounds great. It sounds like a great community full of support and resources, and just a really great agenda of helping people. So that was great. Thank you all so much for answering those questions today. Were there any additional answers that you would like to put out there? Any frequently asked questions that you guys get?
One of the things that I know we didn't really touch much on, and I've heard it spoke a couple of times about working with God, is we understand that there's a higher source out there, a higher power, so to speak. We call it God. I call it God. Some people call it Yahweh. It could be Allah. It could be whatever. It doesn't matter what religion you are, and you don't have to be religious for this to work either. But I'm just saying, the one thing that is very that's common in every religion is they understand that there is a higher power out there, a higher source of energy. We didn't come to be just by poof and magic and all of a sudden here's people and this is who we are and this is what we do. We know that we were created by a higher source. And I truly believe that our souls never die. So when these bodies perish, we continue on. And I don't ever push religion or religious beliefs on people, but I want people to understand that we do work with a higher power. We are very faith-based. I trust that there's a higher power. I know we don't have the power physically to do this ourselves, but spiritually, there's a higher power that is helping guide us and guide us through these sessions to help out human beings. And I think that's what we're all here for in the big picture of things, is we're all here to help one another survive and thrive in this world. And Spirit wants us to be as gifted and as bountiful as we would like to be. So there is no limitations. There is more than enough of everything out there. Spirit is going to give this to you. That's all you have to do, is be willing to receive it and trust in the fact that there is something higher out there that is guiding us and that is overseeing everything that is happening on this planet. No matter how ugly it seems to be at this time, there's a big plan that's in the works. So things will continue to get better, and I'm happy to be a part of our community that is helping this world become a better place.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank everybody. Eliza, Alyssa, thank you for being our spokesperson here and taking care of the questions and getting everything organized. And if anybody else has any questions and they want to message us, we'll put it in the video at the end that you can leave any messages that you want. Maybe you want to just shoot us an email. We'll provide all the information. And we look forward to seeing you.
Could I ask one question before we cut it off? Eliza, this is kind of this isn't pre-planned or anything, as you know.
Right.
I want to know, how do you feel as one of the newer practitioners as far as support from other people, other practitioners that are doing this? Do you feel like they're very supportive, or is it more like they look at you as a competition?
Oh, it's so supportive. I couldn't be happier with it. And I actually got into this because I met Ray, who's a practitioner in Chicago. So we've had a communication through this, and I let him know that I was getting a certification. And so he's been really supportive. And Bonnie and Steve, you know, we have monthly calls, and I know that I can always shoot one of you a text or an email if I need anything. So I feel so supported, and I don't feel alone in this. So that's been a huge plus throughout this process.
Awesome, because I think that's a big part. If anyone's looking to do this, it's like, I live in a state that's not even close to these guys. What am I going to do for support? Obviously, you're in Boston, so you're not close to us here in Wisconsin. It's not like we can drive over and have a talk with you and help you, but we're all looking to help one another. So that's the really neat part of our community here. And Alyssa, thank you so much for putting this together and really helping guide us and get things really rolling as far as Rediscover Yourself goes, and really getting the people to realize, hey, this is out here. There's a great potential for anyone who's looking for a career change or looking for something different. We're greatly appreciative of everything that everybody's doing. Thank you.